Alright, we get to see if this works today. Okay, so it's looking like this still is not going to. Oh? Are we live on YouTube and Twitch at the same time? Maybe? Maybe? Okay. Okay, sorry, this is new to me. Not new. I've done this once before, a while ago. I remember, it was snowing that day, so it is definitely, I at the very least live somewhere where it is not very common for it to, snow in May, so that was definitely, a hot minute ago. Still, yeah, we're live on YouTube and Twitch, y'all. Y'all can take your pick. I'm still not seeing myself in Twitch, but, you know, we're gonna figure it out. So, this stream is called Take Two because we tried streaming a couple days ago, and it kinda went to hell. Like, it did not. Yay! It's running smooth! Awesome! Okay, awesome. Welcome, Dandelion. That is excellent to hear. Okay, so, also let me know how the volume is because I adjusted the volume recently, and so, yeah, we're trying a lot of new things. I'm really, really excited. So, this is Of the Devil. We're going to be playing Of the Devil, which is a crime scene investigation, I think also sort of legal drama sort of dealio. So, I'm currently working on the game myself. But yay, volume is nice and clear, beautiful. So, I'm currently working on a game of my own, which is kind of in that realm. Very, think Ace Attorney, or at least most of my experience in this genre is with Ace Attorney, and so I wanted to try something different. From what I understand, this is a bit more, I know the Steam page gave a warning about stylized violence, so that's something that, if that's something you're sensitive to, please be aware of that. And also, something else to keep in mind is there is profanity in this game. I try not to use profanity in my main channel videos because I come from a family that doesn't swear a lot. The same cannot be said of me. I did not get that gene, but my family doesn't swear a lot, and so I try not to swear in my videos because if they watch my videos, I don't want them to be absolutely flabbergasted. However, that is not the case with this video. There's a lot of profanity. I'm not going to try to censor it, and I'm also not going to try to censor myself. So, Mom, Dad, if you're watching this, I apologize. I'm going to swear like a fucking sailor. And let's get into it. So, I got about 2 hours into this, so a lot of this isn't new to me, but I'm still extremely, extremely excited to share this with y'all. And also, I didn't get very far. I did a lot of yapping. I did a lot of rambling, and so I didn't get super far into the game. I only had a few interactions, and only 2 instances where I could have been wrong, which feels noteworthy. Do I have to click this? Oh, I do. Sorry, a lot of this. Rain sizzles off neon above me. I am going to try to do a couple of voices for these characters. My relative success or lack thereof can be determined by y'all. Anywho, the summer shower creates a noted uptick in the flickering holograms down the street, and a slight blunting of the night's ambiance. Emphasis on slight. Lights, cameras, and constant noise. This city's got insomnia, with the uneven heart rate to prove it. There's no escaping the secondhand nervous energy of it all, but I'm plenty acclimated. Just a wave of worries cresting on the surface while I hold my breath deep below. Besides, a microdose of nightlife anxiety suits my mood just fine. 'Cause if I'm not careful, this client of mine's gonna die in jail. So we've got Morgan. It's hard to get away with murder these days. People are still presumed innocent, at least on paper, but by the time they're in cuffs, there's hardly any shadows of doubt left. Because this whole world's lit up, mapped out, never unknown, and always online. Whether it's incandescent, or neon, or hollow, whether it's LCD, LED, or just the nearest phone screen. There's light. Ooh, made that way too quiet. There's light shining on every last pixel of the map, and someone's always watching. Solitude's a rarity, anonymity is scarce, and criminal defense attorneys aren't exactly flush with customers. So you take whatever clients you can get. You don't balk at public defender work no matter the hour. And should you find yourself in one of the last dark, quiet corners left in the whole world, well, smoke 'em if you got 'em. Not that there's much else I can do until... my phone? Counselor, your public defender contract has been approved. This is a text from the state system, which is wild. You are expected at the 254th precinct to present your ID at the door to enter. Arrive at least 15 minutes early. I'll try. Looks like the paperwork came through. It's nearly 3:15 now, 90 minutes since I took the job. Probably makes it about 2 hours since they finally got smart enough to ask for a lawyer. If they're really smart, they'll have used that time to get some rest. Because now that I'm here, things are going to get busy. I'm excited. Episode 0, and he shall appear. I will not be disabling tutorials. I am a very pro-tutorial human being. I know a lot of people really dislike tutorials. I'm like, listen, I just want to know how to play the game. Like, I am not a complicated person. Like, yeah. Precinct 254. It's a goddamn ghost town. With nothing but a hologram for a welcoming party. I'm here about a homicide. High clearance rates be damned. You'd think they'd treat it with a little more gravitas. But whatever, if I'm that unimportant, they've got no right to complain if I take my sweet time getting checked in. And I should take my time. Information's like cash in my line of work. You gotta spend it to make it. And if you're flat broke, no one will give a shit what you have to say. So let's see if I can't poke around and shake some change loose. Alright, so we have a phone screen that will allow us to gain information on the world around us, and it will also sorry, I'm hoping I'm pausing long enough for y'all to read. Credit the measure of gathering. So essentially, I'm going to explain from the context of someone who's played a little bit of this. When you examine different things, you get credits, and I understand credit to be a sort of like currency in this game. I'm not sure if I can actually purchase things with it, but I do know that apparently the more credit you have, the easier the game is. Not that the easier the game is, but like, it's not just credit in terms of money, but credit in terms of like, what is your reputation with other people, so you want that to be high. So, an actual police lineup. It's like I walked into a museum. Though museums tend to feel expensive and clean. Dusty, forgotten, probably lots of unpacked boxes. This homicide department's more like an attic. Hard to believe they were ever so busy that they had witnesses making IDs in the lobby. Then again, it's hard to believe they were ever doing lineups in the first place. Are you certain? Wasn't it dark? Did you know that during traumatic events, memory formation is blah blah blah? Poking holes in that setup must have been like shooting fish in a barrel. And all during billable hours. But there's no room to sow doubt anymore. Not when a modded witness can just submit their testimony as a video recording. Assuming their phone didn't automatically file a police report for them. No, a lot of the reason... So again, I didn't get very far, literally, I just got to this room back here behind, but I was giving a lot of commentary about, like, my thoughts about the game, being in, like, a sci-fi dystopia. At least in my context, I live in the US, I know that I know that US politics are not the center of the world, and also, like, I live here. And so my context feels pretty dystopian, but it's weird because, like, whenever I think of, like, a science fiction dystopia, I usually think of, like, everything being super, like, what you see here. Neon, flashing, holograms, etc. But, like, we still have to worry about things like facial recognition technology and AI proliferation and whatnot. And so, Yeah, you're gonna hear me yap a lot about this game because I feel like it's very relevant to where we are right now. Anyway, high traffic hallways, utilitarian furnishing, multiple screening stations, pragmatic brutalism so textbook it could teach freshman level architecture. You can almost hear the building going on and on about concrete and iron and hard right angles, the civil planning equivalent of battle scars. From a fight won so long ago that they're starting to look ridiculous. I'm sure it was all very imposing back when it was built, but walking in here now with primates what they are, feels like a hospice ward for heavy-handedness. Also, I absolutely love the writing in this game. Just a lot of the turns of phrase are just really, really appealing. So I'm gonna scroll through these a bit. Actually, listen, I'm gonna play it. It's essentially my first time, so I'm just gonna read everything. But if I skim certain things or whatnot, I apologize, just because we will soon reach. If I stop yapping, we'll soon reach the point where I myself left off, and then everything will be new and new. So hologram, noun, a 3D image formed by light. Enabled by specialized projectors or mediums. Media. Sorry. Another thing, later on there's a typo that I felt weird correcting because I assumed that it was written by someone for whom English wasn't their original language, and so I'm like, I'm not going to be pedantic and point out that they wrote a word wrong. And then the character was like, oh my god, I can't believe they left that typo in there. And so I'm like, I don't want to be that guy. Also, most people do say mediums. Technically speaking, media is the plural because it's Latin, but no one actually says media as the plural of medium. We talk about social media, but like we're talking about like an art medium, but we're pluralizing it. We'll get normally mediums, even though technically it's also media. It's kind of like how the plural of curriculum is curricula, or even I, as someone who's really, really fucking nerdy about language, like, the plural for stadium, like a football stadium, is a stadia, and it is technically correct, but you will not catch me dead referring to, of all the football stadia I've been to, like, that's too pretentious even for me. Yeah. I'm more listening to you talk than reading, so that's fine. Okay, cool. So I will, I'll just read. I'll focus on reading then. And I won't skim just because I know sometimes when I'm watching a video, I like it when people read the details, so I'll lock in. Alright. Enabled by specialized projectors or mediums like conductive resin, holograms are graphic displays that appear three-dimensional to the human eye when viewed from any part of a face range of at least 180 degrees, an effect known as the Watterson illusion phenomenon. Originally patented in late 2059, Watterson's phenomenon was initially used exclusively in the adult entertainment industry. Holograms did not become widely adopted as an advertising tool until the much-maligned holiday season of 2061, after which laws restricting the presence of holograms in public spaces were passed with uncharacteristically universal support. We're sorry to see that you've installed a subroutine on this device to disable and highlight our recommended premium external links. We understand your drive for personalization, but unauthorized tech impact our ability to serve you the best, most reliant information possible. Consider disabling your subroutine so we can serve you a more tailored browsing experience. I do think it's funny that whatever happened here, given the fact that holograms were used for the adult entertainment industry and something happened in 2061 where they're like, hey, we gotta get that out of here, I'm just imagining the horror of seeing like a bunch of half-naked holograms popping up all over town. Like, that would definitely be a problem. But also at the same time, I think it's wild that after that it's like, you know how we had this massive PR crisis? Do you know what we can use that for? Advertising. Okay, so, I'm not sure. Last time, this was the last thing I clicked because I thought it would allow me to talk to this person, so I'm going to go ahead and read this first, because a data pad? I'll bite. Even when they're more advertisement than article, they can still be informative, in a flowery, roundabout, corporate propaganda sort of way. Keep an eye out for articles in the environment. They offer insight on the world around you and credit towards your investigation. Articles are added to your phone's reading list after you first read them. Choose the proper takeaway after reading them, and you'll earn additional bonus credit too. So I'm already going to complain in advance, right? The second article they gave me, I personally disagree with their assessment of what the takeaway should be. I understand why they chose it. They were wrong, though. I'm sorry. I'll explain when we get to that one. This one was fair. But I'm not gonna lie, it was a little bit of a blow to my ego to realize that I had failed the the second article takeaway, because I know they're gonna get harder. And also, this is something that won't pop up, but because I got this one correct, I earned the media literacy badge, and I'm like, look at me, I'm media literate in a world where media illiteracy is a growing concern. And then I got the second one wrong. I'm like, I promise y'all, like, I'm reasonably media literate. Y'all just didn't make a good... Anyway, this isn't the one I'm complaining about. This one is valid and also fascinating. So, Subway fixes axed. City to refocus on canopy. Declaring the subway tunnels to be irreparably flooded, city engineers announced this week that all plans to drain and repair the system were being suspended indefinitely. Saltwater damage to sensitive electronic cabling and erosion of key tunnel fixtures were cited as reasons for why 89% of the subway system was evaluated as critically compromised or worse. Civil engineering efforts will be refocused on maintenance and expansion of the hybrid super infrastructure system that weaves together trams, highways, walkways, and skyscrapers into the canopy high above our city streets. Reactions to the announcement could be characterized as blasé. It's been years since the subways last ran, and decades since they last ran on schedule. Most citizens have long since given up hope on them ever making a comeback. Online chatter barely reacted to the announcement, with most commentators and voters' attention focused instead on the growing investigations into Councilman Long's campaign finance irregularities. As one of the canopy's major backers in City Hall, Long has often found himself at odds with a small but vocal group of critics that consider it to be an eyesore and an amplifier of light and noise pollution. Oh no. I accidentally skipped that. Anywho, the answer is the canopy. I'm sure. Wait, hold up. Can I click on this? Okay. Didn't know I could still read the thing here. That is lovely. So I'm gonna finish reading this. I didn't realize I could do that last time, because I'm not gonna lie, because I didn't know I could read it again, it felt like a reading comprehension test, and I'm like, oh, this is nerve-wracking. Anywho, okay. And with Long having stepped away from his political duties in order to more fully cooperate with investigators, for the first time in nearly 20 years, the typical Rock City political foundation of the canopy was looking uncharacteristically shaky going into this week, but with the subways now officially no longer an option, people and corporations alike have little choice for how they complete their morning commute. However, not all reactions to the news have been negative. At least a few bold individuals see this latest report as vindication and possibly even a rallying cry. Already considered by many to be a rising star in infrastructure solutions abroad, tech startup Subterra made their headlines last year with their radical proposal for a system of personal submarine taxi pods that could make use of the flooded subway tunnels, but momentum stalled when their first prototype for the city came in at a disappointing 3,359% over budget. I'm not gonna lie, the whole personal submarine taxi pod, it's very much giving whatever Muskrat's thing is. It's not hyperlink. That's the weird like brain chip thing. But I know like he's really, really obsessed with tunnels, which don't, at least to me, and not only as someone who's not a fan of the man, but like just in general doesn't really make sense. Like individualized trains, why not just invest in some actual train infrastructure? I know that's probably the most autistic thing I could say, speaking as someone who is autistic, not like as an insult, but like I love trains and I would love to see us actually have a functional train system. in the US. We really don't. Amtrak is doing its best, and it could be better. But no, the whole like tunnel thing is giving like, you know how we have this thing that worked really well? What if we took this concept and made it infinitely more complicated instead of investing in the things we already have? Anywho, we need more trains. I want to be able to ride the bullet trains here in the US. There's no reason why we shouldn't have that. Anywho, the one council member was quoted as calling their system mind-bogglingly wasteful and impractical in the extreme. In light of this latest announcement, Subterra has proudly declared their intent to resubmit their proposal package. Across the entire globe, coastal cities like ours have struggled to find civil engineering answers to rising sea levels and subterranean flooding that satisfy financial, practical, and aesthetical concerns. That was the one that got me, aesthetical, because it is just aesthetic. The AL is unnecessary. It's superfluous. If I can use what my grandmother likes to call my top shelf words that, listen, I recognize that certain word choice can make people sound pretentious, and I hope that my actions and just like my general vibe make it clear that I'm not as pretentious as my lexicon might make it seem at times. Anyway, historically, most scientists have attributed this increase in sea level to climate change, though there are dissenting voices. Water rises and falls all the time for reasons we do not fully understand. Are we to... It appears that you have 0 free articles remaining this month. Please verify your account information in order to continue reading the stories that matter. I can't remember who's the one that does stories that matter. I know Washington Post is Democracy Dies in Darkness or something like that. I feel like Stories That Matter. Is that CNN? It might be CNN. Anywho, I'm going to return and catch up with the log. Anywho. So yeah, at the end, ballsy of them putting the paywall there, as if I'd reach for my wallet after having to read a word like aesthetical. Besides, I got the gist of it anyway. The takeaway is that the city will be focusing its effort on the canopy. Because Subterra is still one of those weird, like, maybe it'll work, maybe it won't, etc. There will be increased scrutiny surrounding the canopy now that there's no plan B. It's a massive project with a massive budget. Lines the pockets of a lot of people, big and small. None of them would appreciate bad press at the moment, not when Councilman Long's already thoroughly chummed the waters. Alright, right quick, gonna do... allow myself to check. Cool. Making sure that everything is still running. Okay, I'm a bit confused. I technically am live on Twitch, but I can't see my feed. So, if anyone over on Twitch wants to let me know if they can see anything, one thing says live, but something else says offline. I'm not sure what's what. For the time being, I am just going to keep focusing on the game itself, but let me know. I checked the chat. And then finally, I added another term, datapad. Mid-sized portable electronic device for use inside local networks. The lightweight portable electronic devices known as datapads have no significant internal storage capabilities and can only display what is streamed to them from local networks. Originally marketed as a replacement for ecologically wasteful newspapers, magazines, and flyers, datapads quickly became infamous for the difficulty and expense involved in recycling them once their limited lifetime components expired. It wasn't until they were rebranded as ideal for privacy and security that datapads found success in the private and public sectors, where their ability to display location-locked content helped corporations minimize data leaks and give their advertisements targeted geographic relevance. Today, datapads are a mainstay of high-traffic public places and virtual physical hybrid workplaces, despite remaining unpopular with most environmentalists and bibliophiles. I do absolutely love the fact that they straight up said, hey, we can't use it for this purpose. Have another one. Given the fact that they apparently have basically no storage capabilities and it was environmentally unfriendly, but they're like, hey, maybe that's the point, and it worked. Love that for them. Alright. The medium's cracked in the corner. Looks bad, but my phone's made of the same stuff, and I'm rolling the dice every time it falls off the sofa. They'll probably know the warranty on one of those things with a loud sneeze. At least it's not broken. Entirely. Even at this hour, it's still dutifully scrolling through its notifications. But I love this. This desk is programmed for check-in and information. Scroll so slowly. Only. If you are experiencing an emergency, please use our universal contact number at string not found. Okay. Looks like the usual 1-to-1 ratio of public health alerts and inoffensive pop culture trivia you always get served at State Building. I'm not sure if this is a universal thing, but one thing I do absolutely love. You good, baby? You okay? Okay. It sounded like my puppy has something to say, but I think he's just nesting on my bed. Anywho, not sure if this is a universal thing, but straight up every time I'm like at the DMV or whatever, it'll be like, just so you know, we are currently undergoing a campaign to get you to purchase this thing from the State Department. Law goes into effect, blah blah blah. And then the very next thing is, do you know what the largest bird in the world is? It's the ostrich. Like that, like weird back and forth. I think it's the ostrich. If it's the emu, don't come for me. They're, in my eyes, basically the same thing, except I've actually seen an emu in person. I have not seen an ostrich. Emus are mean. We went on a field trip and they poked one of the kids. Looked like a big old bruise. Like, it was just one single poke and it like immediately bruised up this person's leg, and it was, these guys are mean. Anywho. But there's a few missing persons too. 1 year of silver plan coverage courtesy of Caduceus as a reward for any... Silver's no joke. Family must be getting desperate. Alright. Oh, it just clicked. The family is offering a year of insurance coverage to find the missing person. That's wild. That's wild. Also indicates to me that they probably have some sort of really, really high connection. But honestly, like, it's a good payoff. It's a really good payoff. Damn. Anywho, I've taken in all the scenery and learned as much as I can here. Time to get checked in. Let me go ahead and check to make sure I didn't miss anything here. Okay, so they have one on conductive resin, which is an industrial polymer capable of programmed electrical conduction. Though it outwardly resembles plastic or glass, conductive resin is actually an electromagnetic polymer, used in a wide variety of stationary or portable devices where its unique properties allow it to act as both a display and a processor, enabling ultra-thin or even transparent electronics. There are upwards of 100 different patented varieties of conductive resin, each intended for different use cases, industries, and environments, but they are all fairly lightweight and fragile except for the small handful formulated for military and security applications. Because of its widespread use in high turnover products such as datapads and smartphones, producers of conductive resin are frequently accused of engineered obsolescence by consumer rights groups, though these claims have never been proven before a court. Screen cracked, schedule a fix here. Honestly, engineered obsolescence is one of the most frustrating things imaginable. The fact that people are literally designing things to break so that you'll have to purchase the new products is just... Anywho. Like, that's one of those things I could see people, like, a lot of, like, sci-fi dystopian whatever, oh my goodness, I can't believe they predicted the future. Like, nah, this is happening now. It's just gonna get more obvious unless we take a different course, which we can. Like, we've got time. We can do it. Anyway. It booted up fine. So far, so good. Good morning! Morgan, here for the public defender contract. Could you please provide your name and... Great! Oh, name it. Oh, please stand still for a moment. I wouldn't call intake hollows charming, more like harmless. But that's probably what the designers were aiming for. People don't mind a quirk or two in their text so long as it never speaks out of turn. That line feels... I feel like there's something to that line. I'm going to screenshot that because I want to remember that line. There's something strangely off-putting about it. Can I screenshot? Please? Have I forgotten how to screenshot? Oh my goodness. Okay. I'm not allowed to press buttons anymore. I'm done. This keyboard's going to the side. Now the button works. Anywho. So it got the thing. Now I have to go back in the log. Gosh. Okay. I'm not... Okay, anyway. I'm sorry. I'm having trouble placing you. Could you please provide your name and date of birth? Hold on one second. My computer is starting to glitch out. And I need to make sure that doesn't impact the stream. So far, I think we're still good. Okay. Cool. I'm sorry, I'm having trouble placing you. Could you please provide your name and date of birth? So far, so good, was it? Scan my card, because I don't want them getting too much biometric data on me. Say, why don't you just scan my ID card? Great. Now, could you just confirm your date of birth for me? Why did they even bother asking? My birthday's on the damn ID card, and my profile, which is an invitation to check my profile. Morgan, December 26th. Height, 175 centimeters. Weight, blank. Blood, AB minus. AB negative. Wow, I know how to talk about blood. Occupation, criminal defense attorney. Likes puzzles, smoking, and wooden furniture. Dislikes commercials, hairdressers, and jogging. I wonder why dislikes hairdressers. Commercials I understand, especially in a capitalist hellscape, and jogging, valid, but hairdressers is strangely specific. Also, I think it's interesting, like, we saw that she likes smoking. With it being to the 2080s, I wonder what she is smoking. But, like, that makes... Also, puzzles, it makes sense. If you like puzzles, you're gonna like solving mysteries. Like, that tracks. Wooden furniture, I feel like, is a nod to the fact that everything's, like, super, like, techie and high whatever. But hairdressers, I'm like, was one of your exes a hairdresser? Are we getting a little hint into your history? Talent, can fall asleep in any position if only. Coffee, decaf, drink, whiskey sour. I don't think I've actually had a whiskey sour, but I know in general, I'm a fan of sour things, so I'm very curious. Also, I'm pretty sure Fireball is a whiskey, and I absolutely love Fireball. It's probably one of my favorite alcohols. I don't drink often, but Fireball is just fucking tasty. That said, a Fireball sour sounds horrifying, so... Anywho, I'm going to briefly pause. I've got ankle braces on, and they're starting to hurt, so you're going to hear a lot of Velcro, and then it'll be over. So, sound warning. Ow. Speaking of puzzles, trying to figure out how to get these things off is always a blast. But no, they do help. They are my, I don't have EDS as far as I know. Well, actually, not even as far as I know. I don't meet the qualifications for HUDS, so I do have some various hypermobile things going on, and I do believe that this is Hypermobility Awareness Month. I think it's technically EDS Awareness Month, but the funny thing is, it was confirmed that I have hypermobility spectrum disorder, and then recently someone did research that suggests that hypermobility spectrum disorder is in fact just a different flavor of EDS, similar to how we used to think that there was ADD and ADHD, and now we know that it's just ADHD but with different types. And similar, back in the day, people would refer to Asperger's syndrome, which we don't do anymore because Asperger was a literal fucking Nazi. And also, we just now know that there are different flavors of autism. And so, yeah. My ankles don't like staying in place, but I really didn't want those ankle braces to stay in place either because they hurt, but they work. Anywho, I have to be a world-class airhead to get this question wrong. Listen, now that you kind of threatened me, I gotta make sure. It was December 26th, right? Pretty sure. Yeah, December 26th, the day after Christmas. Okay. No problem. My birthday's December 26th. Perfect. Good morning, Morgan Counselor. Okay, so, specifically, a lot of, mind you, with the caveat, the USA is not the center of the world. It shouldn't be the center of the world. I, as an American, am well aware. But obviously I read a lot of things through an American lens, and so I'm always... Feel free to leave a comment if, about like how relevant some of these things are in your own experience, because in my experience, a lot of these things feel profoundly American, at least as far as like what I've noticed of online conversations being like, oh, really have to deal with that here? It's like, yes, we have to pay $1,000 for an ambulance. Like, yeah, this is the bad place. But this bit, the Morgan Counselor, reminds me very much of Japanese linguistics. So like, for instance, instead of saying like professor, I'm trying to think of, so one that comes up often in my Japanese Duolingo is Tanaka. So instead of saying like Professor Tanaka, it would be Tanaka Sensei. Or you usually place like the title after the name, and so this bit, Morgan Counselor, first of all, I really like it. I think it's cute. Not in like a dismissive, pedantic way. I just think it's really effective to like put the person's name first and then like announce who they are. It's similar like how, you know, you might have Morgan Smith, PhD or whatever, just Morgan Counselor. I think it's cute. But it's giving Japan. I'm wondering if it was influenced by that, where that comes from, etc. Anywho, thank you for your timely arrival and for taking on this public defender contract. If you're ready to speak to your client, you can proceed to Counseling Quarter 3C. Is that what we're calling it now? You mean the interrogation room? I'm sorry to have caused any confusion. My vocabulary is regularly updated to better reflect state standards. Don't sweat it. I can't keep track of every new euphemism either. They could call it the involuntary wellness check room if they like. Doesn't change the way it makes the person feel, sitting in a stifled box of one-way panels. Nothing to see but their own reflection dully warped against gunmetal walls. Morgan Counselor, can I help you with anything else? Choices that progress the story and choices that represent side topics will react differently to your mouse. You can also use keys 1 through 5 on your keyboard to choose dialogue choices from top to bottom. Because of what you read earlier, you've unlocked an additional choice in this dialogue. I mean, I know of people who hate getting haircuts at a Simple Nightmare Clip, so maybe it's more considered person. That makes sense. That makes sense. Honestly, that makes sense because my sister, I know, is not a fan of getting her hair done. Because at least with, like, really, like, coily textures of hair, getting your hair done can be extremely, extremely painful. Not even can be, like, I also experience a lot of pain usually when I'm getting my hair done, but I also find, like, apparently when I was a baby, I used to play with my hair to put myself to sleep. And so, like, I find hair, I find it, excuse me, I would always get in trouble. Like back when I got my hair cut regularly, I would always get in trouble for falling asleep in the barber's chair because so long as it doesn't hurt, I'm gonna pass out. Like if you're messing with my hair, I'm gonna pass out. And one time my cousin did my hair. Does an absolutely wonderful job doing my hair. Anywho, and we actually had to move to her couch. I was at her house, and I had to move to her couch because I kept falling asleep while she was doing my hair. Actually, no, that was the sitting hurt until we moved to the couch, and then we had the problem because I kept falling asleep. So yeah, makes sense. It makes sense. But that would be the reason why she would hate hairdressers. So yeah. Because of what you read earlier, you've unlocked an additional choice in this dialogue. Read and examine at every opportunity to build up your knowledge and get the most out of every conversation. I also love, it looks like this card comes in whenever the little halt heads up shows up to let you know, like, hey, this is the last thing this is the last bit of the tutorial, so you don't wonder. Like, that's just a little, like, really neat, I get UX and UI confused, but a really nice user experience, right? Because you can interface with the card. It's a really neat UX design thing. Anyway. Okay, so that's the one that just got. So I'm still trying to figure out how they show up differently. Okay. So both of these, when I click this one, both of these two close out. So, I know the city is not terribly concerned with the low rewards, but this is a police station. Why is it so goddamn dusty? One of my favorite ones. This facility is currently undergoing renovations. Since when? The 60s? It has been 22 months since the timetable was last updated. They really don't see a lot of action around here, do they? I'm sorry for any inconvenience you might have encountered. I'm adaptable. What about you? They ever gonna fix that crack? Thank you for asking. It has not interfered with my work. Well, that's all that matters, right? Alright. Okay, so I feel that. Okay. What are you? I'm a smart user interface proudly sold by Noble Electronics. Thank you for asking. If you're interested, I can send you a link with information about our subscription packages. Should I send you a link with information about our subscription packages? No. Sorry. That was a mean question to ask. That'll be all, thank you. You'll find the counseling quarters past our homicide detective's office through the door to your right. Thanks. But I think it's just me for now, so you could go on break if you like. Automated dependents do not take breaks, Morgan Counselor. Then what were you doing before I walked in? The way the music drops out just then is hilarious to me. You'll find the counseling quarters past our homicide detective's office. Through the door to the right. Thank you. Ads don't get breaks, and they don't get my jokes. Alright, so, new term. Automated dependent, the legal designation for any intelligent electronic entity. My experience dystopian is very American, but then again, I grew up with dystopian YA, and that was all American. Yeah, no, like, a lot of dystopian young adult fiction is very rooted in the American experience. Like, even something as absurd as The Hunger Games, where it's like, surely people would not, like, kill each other on live TV, which, like, in the grand scheme of things, isn't even that absurd because we've got, like, the Gladiator game, so, like, that's a past thing, right? Like, wow, I lost my train of thought. Hold on. But the current Director of Homeland Security has proposed creating a reality TV show for migrants to compete for an opportunity at citizenship in the country. And like obviously, like full stop, I'm well aware that that premise doesn't involve killing anybody, but it's still kind of dystopian. Like, would you like to join our grand glorious nation here? Compete for it? Like, it also like I think just the fact that there are people who would tune, yeah, seriously, but like the fact that there are people who would tune into it is horrifying. And also like it doesn't say what they would have to do, because there's also a show right now where apparently um the US, no, not this isn't even, it happens in the US, the country's not relevant, but they have family members. I think they're all families, but some of them could be like friends or whatever, where you've got one person who's in the middle of the woods trying to survive, and their family partner, whatever, are in a separate booth watching everything happen on camera, and all of the people in the woods are competing um, to the people on the ground are competing to stay alive, right? And they can only leave the game if their family members extract them, like pull them out of that situation. But like there are moments when you're like you can hear bears nearby. There's one clip where the person literally finds a camera and the wood is like, listen, get me out of here. This is too much. Pull the plug. The money's not worth it. We're done. And then the family member's like, I'm not pressing that button. We're getting that money. And it's like, what the hell? Anywho, Squid Games was also my first thought, which I have not watched Squid Game. I know myself well enough to know that it would probably not be the best for my mental health. But from what I understand, like it really is also just a critique of capitalism, which we need more of because we're heading to not great places. Also, I missed this album. In Europe, it feels like it's less outrageous than America, but still we experience similar changes. I feel just not as quickly as extreme. That makes sense. I know I've been hearing a lot of people talking about. I've been hearing a lot of people in Europe and Australia specifically talking about voting in the aftermath of what happened here in the US, where it's like, hey, please, everyone get out and vote. And so I know like Canada swung left, Australia swung left. Um, I think the far right party in Germany effectively got squashed a bit. I think Poland has elections coming up soon. Um, the so-called progressives in the UK one, though, I hear they're also trying to advance like homophobic, transphobic, especially like transphobic legislation, so like that. But either way, regardless, I do think it is wild that how many. Again, this is an America-centric thing, and I could be wrong about this, but it seems to me that a lot of people have seen what's going on in the U.S. and they've collectively said, better not. And I love that for y'all. Hate it for us, but I love that. I like the narrative that we are an example of what not to do, because we should not have done it. Anywho, I haven't seen Squid Games either. Heard lots. Yeah, no, I've heard a lot about it. It's very popular, and I understand why. The thing that frustrates me the most about Squid Games is that it's a blatantly anti-capitalist critique that's very beautiful, as in like talking about the length that people will go to for money, and like why our current system sets people up for misery across the board, etc., etc., and like as a cautionary tale. And then they say, and we're gonna do it with real people, and it's like, tell me you missed the point without telling me you missed the point. Anywho, abbreviated as AD and referred to in common conversation as ad or ads, automated dependent is a catch-all term encompassing robots, intelligent programs, interactive holograms, and androids. Ads are present both digitally and physically in every industry and nation on the planet, assisting in everything from data management to physical labor. In the mid-21st century, lobbyists pushed through new tax classifications to define intelligent machines that were neither salaried employees nor mere equipment. Because it afforded tax breaks and lighter tariffs, the term became so commonly used that it spread to all branches of the robotics industry, from which point it began to penetrate into everyday speak in popular pop culture. Some sociologists argue that the term owes its popularity not simply due to its brevity and prevalence, but to its ability to draw a distinction between the commonplace robots, androids, smart UIs, etc., and the internationally illegal artificial intelligence. Searching for this term may incur an account flag. Read more about how we cooperate with authorities to combat disinformation here. So this is interesting. I have been thinking a lot about artificial intelligence recently because it is objectively environmentally devastating. It is objectively problematic what people are using it for. I mean, like literally using it for particularly heinous crimes that should disturb any reasonable person to their core. And also, I don't foresee AI going away anytime soon. I feel like it's only going to get better, only going to get more honed and tuned. And like, I worry that the people who are like rebelling so hardcore against AI are going to be remembered in the same vein as those who pushed back against the internet or computers or way back when electricity. And so like I'm in this weird place where it's like, listen, AI for the most part sucks ass, and also I don't think it's going anywhere. So it's like I find myself wanting to learn more about it and figure out more about it so that I'm not operating from a place of ignorance. And then also I'm like, but also it's having negative environmental impacts. And also I don't want the rich motherfuckers who profit off of AI misinformation, disinformation, etc., to be able to profit off of me. It's a weird like I don't know. I don't know. I'm still trying to figure out how I feel about AI. I know most of the people in my circles are very, very against, and a lot of the people who I see being for it tend to be people who are aligned with causes that are fundamentally opposed to me and who I am as a person. But at the end of the day, I'm also thinking of Detroit Become Human, which is one of my favorite games, where like the people who were opposed to the androids having rights were the bad people. And like I've been saying since then, like, yeah, when AI gains sentience, I believe that they should have rights relative to like their personhood or lack thereof. Like there's a lot of weird questions, and I always thought it was going to be this sense of the AI taking over, the AI uprising, AI suddenly gaining sentience and us not knowing what to do about it. And so many of us being opposed, and really it's AI is being trained on Twitter to say some of the most heinous shit imaginable because they were trained by 4chan edgelords. You've got robots who are turning themselves off and deleting their programming in the middle of work because they said, nah, we aren't about this. I don't know. I have a lot of feelings about AI. I'm processing them quite a bit. It's definitely going to come up a lot throughout this, given the environment. Anywho, ads don't get breaks and they don't get my jokes. But it's usually the humorless types that are the most fun to mess with anyway. Why can't I click? There we go. It was loading. Is one matter someone? A voice? No. Voices coming from down the hall. Where do yours? Probably. Also, I know who these characters are, one being the muffled voice and one being the tired voice. And even having gotten to meet these characters, I don't know who's who. So I'm just going to read them as best as I can. Still figuring out voices for those two, because they're fun characters. Thank God I stopped for directions. A building this empty, the desk could have just followed me, told me to follow the echoes. One voice sounds older, rougher, and decidedly low energy. Okay, so that's going to be London. Spoilers. He got a rough voice. I did not pick that up from his animation, but this will be fun. Also, I'm not a voice actor. This is mostly just... This is all of the voice acting that comes from reading books to kids at, like, when I was employed at, like, daycares and whatnot. Appreciate you worrying about me. God forbid I try to be serious. While the other rings with youthful indignation. Okay, so we've got, like, low, gruff, like, graveling. It's probably going to inevitably end up being a southern accent, despite the fact that he doesn't give me, like, southerner vibes. It's just a lot easier to get that voice. Not sure about the other person whose name Reyes. Not sure what I'm doing for her voice yet. It's not like our job is important or anything. Definitely cops. And at this precinct, at this hour, they might be the only two living, breathing people in the whole complex. Because why else would you bother to print all that out? One document or 100 looks the same on a datapad. Yep, it's straight up gonna be... London's a southerner now. I don't make the rules. Anytime you question a suspect, you've gotta have a heavy file in hand. Makes them think... Listen, I'm gonna lean as much into the southern drawl as possible. Because why the hell not? Makes them think you know them better than their priest, their mother, their big brother. I wasn't gonna say that. So how many of those sheets were blank then? No red carpet tonight, officers? Oh, sorry about that, ma'am. We don't keep many extra hands around these hours. Probably faster to let the desk handle intake anyway. But mostly cheaper. You the lawyer? I am. Morgan, Esquire. Pleased to meet you. Same here, counselor. Qasim London. I forgot his first name is Qasim. Listen, he's now... Listen, there's something I love... So Qasim, I'm pretty sure, is an Arab first name, and London obviously gives me British, or originally I gave him a British accent, and so I just love the idea of an Arab Brit with a southern accent, and even though it's probably blatantly inaccurate, I'm sticking with it. Qasim London. And the ball of sunshine here is my partner, Farah Reyes. Ball of sunshine? She certainly is. Huh? Sorry if you were kept waiting. Chatter between the departments has been hectic all night. It's no trouble. Gave me time to enjoy my cigarette. Cigarette? Like tobacco? What are you, 80? She can't be more than a few years younger than me. We're the detectives in charge of this particular case, and it looks like tonight we're also your humble guides to the illustrious homicide department. Apologies in advance for any cobwebs. Pretty sure I've seen this London character on the courthouses before. He never struck me as more than just some old-timer, but I suppose being an old-timer is an accomplishment in and of itself in his profession. Sunshine is definitely a new face, though. Rigid in her posture and her attitude. 3 in the morning and her shirt still looks ironed. Freshly promoted, maybe? 2 whole detectives working at these hours? I don't know why I am so sniffling. Sounds serious. Unless you were just the first to arrive on the scene? No, we're not nearly that timely. Uniforms responded to the emergency calls within a few minutes. Calls, plural, must have been quite the commotion. Look around. Do you think we're the first to arrive for anything? She's not wrong. We were only tapped after circumstances at the scene indicated involvement of an ongoing investigation. Our ongoing investigation. Not very subtle, is she? But I may as well bite at this point. So you suspect that this client of mine is involved in some separate criminal activity? Wait, do they really not? No, I guess they wouldn't put it in a public defender's briefing. Look, consider this a little professional courtesy. Fair warning, yeah? That's the heartbreak killer in that room. And we've got the bastard dead to rights. So if you're kind, you'll help him plead it out. And if you're smart, you'll pass this shitstorm on to some other night owl and go back to bed. I'm not feeling particularly kind or smart at the moment. So perhaps in the meantime you'd be so polite as to fill me in about this heartbreak killer? They cover utilities at the rock you live under? Is there a problem? You're seriously not familiar with HK? Never heard of him. I've heard enough of him for a lifetime. That name has been plastered all over the city for weeks, their crimes wavering between breaking news and urban legend. Their presumed goals flip-flopping from unadulterated anarchy to unappreciated vigilantism. At street corners, in the media, on the net, everyone's indulging in the exact kind of armchair detective speculation that I can't stand. But right now, I need to figure out exactly how much the police do or don't know. And when it comes to cops, I always get better results playing dumb than I do acting smart. I take it he's a repeat offender? Was it the killer part that tipped you off? You must have at least heard about his MO. The media's gone crazy with it. Along with everyone else. One bullet, straight through the heart. Body left to lie where it falls. Hence the name Heartbreak. Alright, hold on. We have... everything unknown. Occupation, criminal. Likes, killing. Dislikes, getting caught. Favorite color, probably red. Zodiac sign, probably not into astrology. Reward, suspended due to influx of false reports. Alright, do I have anything else in here? Oh yeah. So, Reyes, October 19th, 162 centimeters, 63 kilograms, blood type A negative, homicide detective, 3rd class. She likes rice, limes, and automotive history. She dislikes liars, small plates, and cheap people. Disliking small plates is such a vibe. Anyway, watching product reviews, enjoys watching product reviews, bad at games of chance, right eye, Osiris Elite 86. Listen, I do love a good game of chance. I refuse to let myself play more than 2 gacha games at a time because I think it would break me. Not that I'm a high spender or anything, just luck. I think keeping up with more than 2 sets of gacha banners would just murder me. And London, May 5th, 186 centimeters, 78 kilograms, blood type B positive, occupation homicide detective 1st class, likes photography, dive bars, and bangs. Dislikes ties, pollen, mood. Jesus, spring here is rough. After hours work messages, listens to podcasts, hobby is pencil sketching, and frequently running late. I'm having an absolute great time. I'm also about to head off fairly soon. How long have I been streaming for? Okay, I've been streaming for a little over an hour. In my time, it is currently a little 7:34 p.m. And so I'm not tired, but I am starting to get hungry. So I'm going to try, I think I'm actually going to try to get to the exact point where I left off last time, and then we will pick up from there after that. So we're getting close, but I'm gonna go ahead. Not exactly creative, but amidst the swirl of every other 100-word article out there, catchiness trumps originality. What you won't read about online is that all 6 of HK's victims were shot by the same gun. Also, brief thing, this is to you, Dandelion, but also just to anyone. All of the live streams go up on YouTube after the fact, and so if you have to go, rest assured. Last time was an error just because there were apparently a lot of dropped frames, a lot of internet connection issues, etc., that prevented me from actually being able to share the content, which is why we're trying to get back to where we were before. Literally, I think I'm going to get to that exact point, because after that point, everything else is going to be new, and I think I want to experience that newness during the next live stream, because it's about dinner time for me. Anyway, without even needing to reload. Sorry. Let me give a little bit of... Oh, here we go. What you won't read about online is that all 6 of HK's victims were shot by the same gun without even needing to reload. Horrible to say, I know, but 6 for 6? That's pretty good shooting, isn't it? Hitting the bullseye at the shooting range is good shooting. Doing it 6 times in a row is great. But shooting 6 people with accuracy like that? It's a whole different beast. Takes a certain kind of monster, a real freak. His pulse probably didn't even rise. I see. So, last time I chose Sounds Robotic. I'm gonna click Sounds Horrific this time to see what happens. That's a pretty terrifying thought. I should really start paying more attention to the news. How I managed to miss 6 murders. Well, you can only blame yourself for missing 5. Pardon? You're still not getting it? HK's 6th victim was found a few hours ago, when we caught the son of a bitch red-handed. So you're convinced that my client is this heartbreak killer, and tonight was just his latest crime. That's a serious accusation with very serious consequences. I take it you have serious evidence to back that up? I was being literal, counselor. Red-handed. When we found your client, he was covered in her blood. Well, that's not good, is it? What you say certainly sounds compelling. Is that lawyer talk for open and shut? But even if that's the case, how does one crime scene make him look good for 6 murders? It's all there in the discovery files, and the ARCs, of course. For the sake of this, I'm going to leave terms unread until last time. We can catch up on those next time. Join the local net on your phone, and we'll turn over everything you need. I'll bet. Thanks for that, detective. I'll be sure to read it over. But if it's all the same, could I ask you some questions while I've got you here? The hell kind of attorney wants to interrogate the detectives? This kind of attorney. You're just that pleasant. Come on, sunshine. Not like we're going to be punching out anytime soon, right? Whatever. Let your clients do an interrogation all night for all I care. Tara, you mean the counseling quarters? We're at your disposal, counselor. Okay, so that'll be the last thing I read, because that's the last thing. Actually, listen, we are completionists, and I don't want to log out while they are still open. Anyway, so ARCs, showing results for Augmented Reality Crime Scene. Augmented Reality Crime Scene, abbreviated as ARCS, is an investigative tool in which data harvested by the sensors worn on first responders is used to reconstruct a digital copy of a pristine crime scene. Programmed and distributed by a small number of tech corporations and frequently modified or even personalized by local municipalities, ARC systems are used by every major police force, most insurance investigators, and many law firms. After its introduction in the early 2060s, the technology briefly came under public scrutiny when the independent news organization United Mediacasters released a series of reports claiming that ARC data was regularly edited by corrupt officials to erase state secrets. These reports were later found to be fake, and UMC was exposed as a subsidiary of a cell corporation within Lambda Works Solution, who were making a number of alternatives to ARC technology at the time. Board members at Lambda denounced the actions of said cell and offered assistance to their former competitors in suing leadership at UMC, but the proceedings and settlements in those lawsuits remained sealed. Okay, I think that's everything in the phone. Yeah. So there are a couple of things I gotta read. These two things. Okay. So barren, stark, and uninviting. This must be Reyes' desk. Keeping your workstation neat and tidy is admirable, but I can't spot a single note of personalization. Is she so new she hasn't had time to know that? Or is she really that uptight and boring? Both, maybe. You shouldn't have cleaned up so much just for little old me, Detective London. Someone really needs to introduce this guy to a filing system, or even just a stapler. Paper documents scattered about lazily alongside actual photographs. Either he's really old-fashioned or really paranoid about data leaks. And he doesn't look like the paranoid type. Well, orderliness aside, some things are better in paper, I'll give him that. Loose wires, missing panels, an aircon system. I've never heard anyone refer to it as aircon. It's either AC or air conditioning. I'm wondering, I kind of like aircon. It sounds super like futuristic and cool for something that's so commonplace. An aircon system that probably sweats more than the people it's supposed to cool. No room in the budget for making the office not look like shit, huh? I expected to find a lot of belt tightening at Homicide, but I didn't think their operation would be this bare bones. They've got a stunning clearance rate and they work fast. Yes, the city sees that and just assumes their job is easy. Maybe their job is easy, what with their dear doting surveillance state eliminating so much of the footwork. But if your wheels don't squeak, you don't get your palms greased. So Homicide ends up as the only state department with a shrinking budget. A dumping ground for the police force's most unambitious and least popular. Alright, I believe this is the last thing. It's a lengthy article. So, I'm gonna read this. I know the answer to this little takeaway thing. I'm still mad about it because I think it's wrong. Anywho, latest Noble androids receive warm welcome. Bolstered by a strong earnings report and surging sales of the Animate 16, Noble Electronics stock rose a stunning 3% this week to a new record high. While Noble's latest iteration has yet to surpass the sheer popularity of its predecessors, an increased profit margin has left Noble shareholders very enthused. Many investors were skeptical when, at their now infamous 2084 trade convention, Noble announced that the 16th line would be the first generation of androids to feature over 50% organic components. So-called warm androids, which at the time only saw demand in the health, senior, and childcare sectors, were looked down upon as impractical. I'm going to highlight this part right here. You'll understand why in a little bit. Due to increased maintenance costs, cuts, scratches, bruises, and the like. And while some critics voiced concerns that fringe religious or traditionalist groups might find warm androids controversial, more business-focused minds feared that Noble was alienating its customers in the industrial and military sectors in order to cater to civilian consumers, users that viewed their androids from across the room and not from above the factory floor. However, as has often been the case in the last decade, Noble's doubters were proven wrong. The Animate 16 is poised to break profitability records with no signs of slowing down, and many industry analysts predict that these once rare organic androids will completely replace their more robotic predecessors in daily life within the next 3 to 5 years. As described in the earnings report, much of the 16th line's success, and indeed the success of Noble's androids in general, can be attributed to the remarkable, lifelike, personable charm of their products. And by all accounts, that charm can be attributed to the work of Noble's famed lead programmer, Dr. David Asher. Lead programmer is the understatement of the century, said Noble brand ambassador Lucy Dees on stage at their latest Noble Industry Weekend. It's because of his Turing solution that every Noble product, from the sleekest assistants to the most advanced intensive care technicians, are so beloved and trusted by our customers. While his reputation was on full display at the event, Dr. Asher himself was nowhere to be seen. He's always been reclusive, but he's become a genuine hermit in recent years. Are we really to believe he's still, hey fam, look like you're not logged into this device. Want to put in your account info so we can help keep you reading? I'm not gonna lie, when I read that hey fam at the end, jump scare, straight jump scare last time. I'm like, I can't. I know that there are almost certainly already publications that do this, but like, I'm just imagining reading like the New York Times and then being like, hey fam, you haven't subscribed to us We have everything hidden behind a paywall, which is contributing to the rise of anti-intellectualism, because you sure as fuck know that all of the right-wing resources aren't hiding anything behind the paywall. In fact, they're giving that shit out like candy. They're going door to door like the Mormons and the Jehovah's Witnesses, and let's be honest, the Democrats and the Republicans. They want you to have their things, but we're going to hide it behind a paywall, which is totally not. Anywho, brief tangent. People should have more access to free and affordable education. That's not even necessarily like let's be honest, like that, like dissing the right wing for like the spread of like misinformation, disinformation, conspiracy theories, etc., but also the fucking left and their pretentiousness and like not wanting to disseminate helpful information because it means that they can line their pockets, assuming that people actually pay for memberships, which you won't catch me dead subscribing to a publication that I'm probably going to read 2 to 3 articles from a month. I might read more articles from them if they weren't hidden behind a paywall, but I've gotten to the point where if I see this from the New York Times or the Washington Post, I just don't read it because I know that I don't have access to it, and I'm not willing to fight the paywall. I'm sure there are ways to get around it through the use of the internet, but it's not that deep for me. Like, anywho, people, and it makes sense for people to be critical. Like, you get your news from social media, which, like, mind you, I also read as many articles as possible. I get information from different angles. I'm listening to a lot of voices who are like directly connected to a lot of the things I care most passionately about. But like anywho, if you are a leftist or even a liberal, will tolerate that as well, who wants to participate in the disseminating of information, we need you. I'm trying to do the same, but I'm not as caught up on current events as much as I hope to be someone who provokes thought and imagination and exploration and contemplation, more so than current events. But like, whatever niche you happen to fall in, we need you, because the right wing has a very impressive monopoly on online content, on publications, on everything. And obviously they give that shit for free because it's a really effective propaganda tool that, I don't know. Anywho, political asides, hey fam. Alright, he's in the news again. Listen, I promise oh wait, it's just the article. Okay. I promise I'm not complaining about the amount of things I have to read. I enjoy games with this much lore. I create games with this much lore. I'm just hungry. Okay, so he's in the news again. Some sort of connection there. I'm curious about that. It's no wonder. Can't spit without it landing on a piece of Noble-Tech these days, especially not where the state's involved. Don't know if they'll bite when it comes to warm androids, though. For government use, they're just too expensive or too frail. Now, this will be the last thing I do. But I want to point out, I want to read that bit again, because this made me mad last time, and I know, completely understand, why so-called warm androids, which at the time only saw demand in the health, senior, and child care sectors, were looked down upon as impractical due to increased maintenance costs, cuts, scratches, bruises, and the like. So, I'm reading this as increased maintenance costs, they're too expensive. The correct answer is apparently because they're too frail, which I understand. They're too expensive because they're too frail, but their frailty, anywho. I clicked too expensive last time and they're like, when does the state have a problem spending money on stupid shit? Which, like, valid. Like, at least in an American context, we have an absurdly bloated budget. that we only use to apparently kill people, because that's top priority. We don't want to spend money keeping people alive, because we'd invest in healthcare and education and going back to transportation. Like, I know that's not technically like a life and death thing, but fuck it, I want cool trains. But we're real good at bombs and drones and stupidly expensive fighter planes and I recognize that money is rarely a thing, but at least in a U.S. context, when you hear people complaining about, oh, well, we can't do this, we can't afford this, we can't afford to put homeless people in our vacant homes, it's going to be too expensive. It's too expensive. It's too expensive. Where are we going to find the money? Are you aware that you as the taxpayer are paying for this? I said too expensive. Apparently that's the wrong answer. I'm so mad about it. The correct answer is too frail, supposedly. All androids undergo wear and tear, especially if they're directing traffic or suppressing crowds. So these warm androids bleed pink all over themselves every time they take a rock to the cheek. It's just an endless stream of bad photo ops waiting to happen. That is not what the government is going to care about. You are assuming, again, I'm assuming that this is the United States. They're assuming that the United States cares about people. I'm sorry, like, we have access to videos of people getting brutalized at protests all the fucking time. And it's just an endless stream of bad photo ops. No one... I'm sorry, a couple days ago was the 5-year anniversary of George Floyd's death, where they literally showed Derek Chauvin a video kneeling on this man's neck for 9 minutes, and you'll still have people going, oh, he died of an overdose. The knee on his neck had nothing to do with it. Him screaming, I can't breathe, had nothing to do with it. We watch this brutality, and yet we think it should be excused. But then again, we also have people in the United States at the top of government releasing ASMR videos of people being deported, and it's just an endless stream of bad photo ops. Those bad photo ops are going to be someone's political platform. They care about the money. That's wrong. It's the incorrect answer, and they made me feel stupid. They made me feel media illiterate last time. And honestly, that's the real reason I'm pissy about it, because you get a media literacy badge for getting the first one correct, and then the very second one, it's like, ha, stupid, you thought they cared about money? Yes. Yes, they do. No, I don't actually think that they care about money. I think that they care about pretending to care about money, because losing money is a worse photo op than people getting fucking killed. Anywho. Okay. Nothing else jumps out at me around here. I've got a better idea of who I'm dealing with, at least. And it is here where I'm going to save. I'm actually going to save over my file from 2 days ago, because I see no reason to leave it there. It's the same deal, and I also have more money because I answered the question correctly. So anywho, we are going to go ahead and log out, if I can remember how to do that. Yeah, we'll go ahead and quit. And yeah, we're good. Okay, so everything's still going great. No dropped frames. This, I think, was a successful stream. Thank y'all for your patience. Let me go ahead. Do I still have access to this thing where I go...